Welcome everyone to video number 2 in section 2 of the Getting Started series, where we'll be talking about how to properly work the clutch to start and stop a manual transmission vehicle. Now, if you've been checking out some videos on driving a manual transmission vehicle, you've probably heard the words engage and disengage when talking about working the clutch. But in my opinion, that word is best left where it belongs, describing the old prelude to marriage, because otherwise it just breeds confusion. So I'm just going to keep it simple by simply saying clutch in or off the clutch. And this is how we're going to get you familiar with your clutch on your first lesson. So while the engine is turned off, you're simply going to press the clutch in towards the floor and then slowly come off the clutch as many times as it takes until it starts to feel comfortable coming off, nice and slow and smooth. Now, once you're familiar with your clutch, the next step is to start the vehicle. So your left foot will press the clutch in and your right foot presses on the brake, and then at this point, you'll start the engine. Now, whenever you're in gear, once started, you'll need to be mindful of your clutch, making sure to keep it pressed in until you want to start moving. Now in this case, we're about to start playing with the clutch, and when we start, the most important thing to remember is that nothing changes with the brake pedal during this exercise. It will remain pressed down the whole time. So to begin, you're going to release a bit of pressure off of the clutch, nice and slow and smooth, until you start to feel that the driver's seat that you're sitting on is shaking. So if you can imagine, it's like you're sitting on one of those old beds you see in the movies, where you put a quarter in and the whole bed starts to shake. It's just like that, like your butt's getting a massage. Then once you feel a decent amount of shaking, stop coming off the clutch any further. Just hold it right there. So this is what we call your friction point. And this is what you're working towards finding faster and faster as you have more practice. But for now, just take your time. So once you've held your friction point for about 3 seconds, then push the clutch back in and you're done. So to recap, you're going to find your friction point, hold for 3 seconds, and then push the clutch back in. Then have a break for about 5 seconds, and then start the whole process all over again, finding your friction point, holding it, then back in it goes. And you'll do this about 5 times. And now let's move on to the next exercise. Now for this exercise, we're going to get the vehicle moving just a bit. Now, anytime you're working with the clutch to get your vehicle moving, the most important part is staying calm. If you can keep yourself from panicking, you will be successful in getting your vehicle started off and driving down the road, even on hills. So, with that said, let's get this vehicle moving. So we're going to start with your left foot on the clutch and your right foot on the brake, and both are pressed down, activating those pedals. And then you'll find your friction point and hold it right there. Now, since you're on your friction point, your vehicle is relatively happy, so don't worry holding your friction point until the end of this exercise. Your vehicle shouldn't stall as long as your feet stay right where they are on those pedals. Okay, so you're holding that friction point, and then you'll start to come off your brake just a little bit until your vehicle starts crawling forward. And just to be clear, once your vehicle starts moving, that's all you want for this exercise, just a slow crawl. So in all likelihood, you probably won't even come off your brake completely during this exercise. And that's as far as you'll go for this exercise. So it's just find your friction point and hold, off the brake just enough until you're crawling along, and after about 3 seconds of crawling, you'll bring your vehicle to a stop. by pushing the clutch in first and then pressing on the brake, nice and smooth and slow to a stop. Then give your clutch a break for about 5 seconds before you start doing this all over again. And you'll do this exercise about 5 times. And then you're moving on to the next exercise. So now comes the time when we're going to put it all together and get you moving on to the gas pedal. So like always, you're going to start with both the clutch and brake pressed in, then you'll find your friction point, and once you have that, nice and slow and smooth, you'll start coming off the brake. Now, it's important to remember, at this point, because you're still on your friction point, your engine is happy for the moment, but you can't stay on your friction point forever. So to prepare to come off the clutch all the way, you're going to need to give your engine a little gas. Think of it as you're feeding the engine to keep it alive. So no gas, no engine. Now, because you're not on a hill, and your left foot is on the friction point, your engine is happy. So you don't have to rush as you move your right foot from the brake pedal over to the gas pedal. Okay, let's just do a little recap up to this point. So you started with the clutch and brake fully pressed in. Then you started to release a bit of pressure off of the clutch to find your friction point, and holding that clutch on the friction point, you've now come off the brake pedal and moved over to the gas pedal in a nice relaxed motion. Now, over at the gas pedal, you're going to once again use steady, even pressure until you're able to hear a nice little roar from your engine. Then, at that point, you're going to hold that pressure on the gas pedal in the same way that you've been holding the friction point when using the clutch. And you'll know you're holding it there because you'll keep hearing that little roar, which means you're feeding your engine to keep it alive. Then, while you're holding it there on the gas pedal, your attention will go back to the clutch, where you're going to start releasing more pressure off of the clutch, nice and slow and smooth. And then, once you feel that you're in full control of how slow you're coming off the clutch, then at that point, you can start adding more pressure on the gas pedal, which means you will match the speed that you're coming off the clutch to the speed that you're going to apply more pressure onto the gas pedal, which is nice and slow and smooth, until you are completely off the clutch. Then at that point, you can decide if you need more or less gas. And that's it. You, my dear, are in motion. Okay, so now that we've got you to the point where you're able to get your vehicle started off and moving a bit, we'll end this video here to give you some time to let it all sink in. And I would suggest watching this video a few times, and while you're watching, you can even move your feet to what the video is telling you to do, which is great practice in a non-stressful environment. And then when you're ready, I'll see you over at video 2-2, manual transmission shifting, where we'll go through how to make shifting nice and easy for you. And of course, I can't let you go without a quick reminder to hit that like button and hit that bell. Okay, that's it. So, good luck moving your feet with the video, and then when you're ready, I'll see you over at the next video. So, until then, take care.